Hi guys, Hannah here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a HeyNet tutorial for all scales of model. I'm going to be doing Schleich right now because I need one more Schleich HeyNet for my barn. I'm going to be showing you guys two different ways of making a HeyNet with two different materials. So let's get started. So the materials you're going to need for this HeyNet tutorial is you're going to need yarn or like thicker string. So anything that is thicker will work. So I have this beige colored yarn that I absolutely love, and it's one of my favorite yarns. I don't remember the brand of it, but I got it for Hobby Lobby for like $1, so I'm very happy with this yarn, and it's one of my favorites. That's for the first HeyNet tutorial. The second HeyNet that I'm going to be doing is going to require like some sort of mesh. So this actually came from, I don't remember actually where it came from. I think it came from oranges, like a pack of oranges. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly where I got it, but anything that's like mesh will work really well for this. And you don't want it anything that is like too thick. Like this is very thin. I could easily rip this if I wanted to. So don't get anything that's super thick. Like get one that's like bendy like this because it'll work better. You're going to need paper shred. So this is called paper shred. I'm pretty sure it says it right here. Paper shred. This is also the stuff that is used in Easter baskets if you celebrate Easter. So just anything like this. I have yellow colored, which looks like hay. You're also going to need rubber bands, so I have a whole thing of rubber bands. I prefer to use black or yellow because it blends in with the HeyNets. Oops. And then the last thing you're going to need is scissors. So I just have these small scissors. I couldn't find my big scissors, so I'm stuck with these very small ones. So this is what the first HeyNet is going to look like. This is actually my original idea for the HeyNets. So I have, I think, 6 or 7 cut pieces of yarn, and I stuffed it with the paper shred to look like hay, and then I tied it off with rubber bands or elastics, whatever you want to call them. So this is the old version that I made probably 4 years ago that I use in my barns because it works really well for my barns. So this is what the first tutorial is going to be about. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to cut 7 equally sized strands of your yarn. So they have to be the same, well, they don't have to be the same size, they can be a little bit off and it'll still work, but try to get them as close to the same size as possible. So I always like to make them a little bit bigger at first, just so that way I have a little bit extra to cut off if I need to. So I'm just going to be cutting, and you're going to need 7 to 8 strands. I'm going to be doing 7. I might do 8 if I change my mind, but I'm going to for sure have 7. And you can have like 6. It'll still work with 6. It'll just, the hay will just fall out a little bit more easily with only 6 strands of yarn because there's not much there to support the hay. Sorry if I'm like stuttering and saying a lot. It's hard for me to focus and work at the same time. So I will get back to you guys when I have 7 strands of yarn cut. Okay, so I now have 7 strands of yarn cut. I was tempted to do 8, but I decided to just stick with 7. So now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take a elastic band of your choice. I'm using yellow because it'll blend in with the yarn and the hay as well, so I'm using yellow. You can use black or white, those also look good, but you can really use any color of elastic that you choose. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to line all of the strands up. I recommend doing one or two at a time, because it'll make it so much easier to line them all up and get them to the same size or as close to the same size as possible. So now all of the string or yarn is all lined up to about the same length, and I'm going to take my rubber band and I'm going to tie them off. So I like to twist mine as well and then hold it with my finger just so I know that they're not going to go anywhere. And I'm just going to wrap my rubber band around it. And it's hard to do with the rubber band because I'm doing it with my left hand and I'm right hand dominant, so it's kind of tricky for me to do with my left hand. And you're just going to wrap the elastic as much as you possibly can, and you want it to be as tight as you possibly can too, to prevent the rubber band from slipping, or to prevent the yarn from slipping out of the elastic. Okay, so there we go. Now the rubber band is completely tied off. So now the yarn is roughly about the same length at the bottom. Now mine were not cut perfectly to length because it's likely not going to be perfectly the same length, but that's okay because I will end up cutting some of the yarn off at the end probably. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie the other end off with another elastic. So I have another one of my yellow elastics, and I'm just going to cut it off kind of how the size I want it to be. So I want it to be about this big, so I'm going to take it and twist it about this big. And it's okay if you have a lot of extra yarn like left over, because it's always good to have more than not enough, because if you don't have enough, you're more than likely gonna have to start over. And I have to switch it to my right hand because I'm more right hand dominant than my left hand. I think I can get it one more. There we go. So this is about the size that I want my hay net to be, and it's okay if it's a little bit like uneven like mine is. So now you can start stuffing it with hay if you choose. You can leave it as an empty hay net just to lie around your barn if you want to, but I'm going to be stuffing mine with hay. So I recommend taking the hay net and kind of spreading it apart like this. So all you have to really do, if it's like this, all you have to do is really do that, and then you should have yarn all the way around, and you want to leave a little opening at the front or the side or whatever you want to do, and that's where you're going to be inserting your hay. So I prefer to take small bits of hay at a time, just so I know I'm not going to be overstuffing it or understuffing it, so I can easily measure it a little bit. So just about this much of hay or paper strand, whatever you want to call it. And it's hard to do this with a phone in front of me, but you're just gonna kind of stick it in the middle and then bring the yarn out and around it, just so that the yarn is kind of supporting the hay a little bit easier. You want to make sure to do this on all sides so that it's easily distributed. And it's okay if you have to clump the hay together and clump it together some more than it already is. So I'm pushing it against the table to make it easier for me. So I'm going to grab a little bit more at a time. I'm just gonna crumple it up and stuff it and bring the yarn around. Sorry if I'm like not explaining it very good. I'm not very good at explaining things, so I do apologize. So this is what it should start looking like. I'm going to put a little bit more in because this one that I have is like stuffed to the brim with hay. So I'm going to add a little bit more hay. And I like to crumple mine up like you're crumpling paper up, so that it'll fit in the hay net a little bit easier, but also look stuffed at the same time. And then just bring the yarn around to support it so it doesn't fall out. And there you go, you kind of have a hay net. It's not the best hay net tutorial. This is the best way I could find and come up with a hay net. So now you can cut off the excess if you choose. So I'm going to be cutting it off. Don't cut it off all the way because it will slip through the rubber band. But just, there we go. So now you have a hay net, and if you want to hang it up in your barn, how I hang it up on my barn here, I'll show you the one that's already done, is I took an extra piece of elastic and now I can hang it up anywhere in the barn. I pretty much just tied it off, but then I didn't tie it as tight as it could go, so it has a little spot to hang up in your barn. So this is what the hay net ended up looking like. After I was all done with it, I tied an extra rubber band on it. Sorry about my dog. I tied an extra rubber band around it so it can fit on this little ball thing that's on the stall divider, so it can hang up there. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the second one. This one should be a little bit easier because I don't have to cut the yarn, and it won't take as long. So pretty much I'm just going to cut the middle of this and then the middle of this as well, so I have extras if I need to. I might have to get my big scissors. No, it looks like it's gonna work. And then I'm just gonna cut this side. There we go. So now I have this, and so pretty much what I'm gonna do with this is I'm going to wrap it around kind of like this in a way, and I'm going to tie one end off with an elastic band. I'm going to be using a green one because the hay net is green and it'll match. It's not exactly a matching elastic, but this is the only green elastic that I have, and this one is going to be a little bit harder to tie off with elastics because it's not as easy to cooperate with for the elastics because it likes to slip off. So this one I'm going to tie super duper tight, tighter than I tied the previous hay net. Just so I can guarantee that it's not going to slip out at all. Sorry if you hear my dog in the background. He's digging at my bed sheet right now, trying to get comfortable. So I do apologize for that. So that's what it's going to look like. And it's okay if this end is a little bit open because it's overlapped so the hay won't come out. And it'll look more natural when this end is closed off as well. So now I'm just going to start stuffing it with hay. So now I've stuffed it as stuffed as it's going to get. I didn't want to stuff it and push it down too far here because it'll push the elastic off. Oops. So now I'm going to just tie this end off like I did the other end. So this is what the hay net ended up looking like, and you can hang it up the same way that I hung up the other hay net, just adding an extra elastic band around it. And then if it does have extra pieces like this, you can totally cut these off. It won't hurt and it won't affect it because it's overlapped, so you can totally trim those up. But this is what it looks like. I think this is the more realistic one out of the two that I did today. So here they are together. This one kind of looks like a scarecrow in a way, and this one actually looks like a hay net. Yeah, so it's up to you which one you want to follow. I prefer using this one because it's easier to hang up in my opinion. This one is not as flexible like a haynet, so it's not as easy to hang up, but it looks more realistic. So your choice, whichever one you want to do. But I hope these helped. I know I had a couple people ask for a haynet tutorial, so I hope these helped, and now you can make haynets of your own. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope that this tutorial helped you guys. And if you would like to make these, please do. But if you do make a video, please make sure to shout me out or give me credit in some sort of way, because it is my idea for these haynets. But hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it helped, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye!